I would say 5.3 is probably the most important section in trigonometry. You need to know how to do trig functions on the unit circle. And basically, this is what we study are the 17 popular angles. This is the most important section because you need to know about a triangle, and you need to know about the 30 and the 60, the 30 degrees, the 60 degrees, and the 90-degree triangle, and the 45, 45, 90 triangle. These are the ones that we use for the rest of the semester. Opposite of 30 is a 1, opposite of 60 is root 3, and opposite the 90 is 2. These two is a 45, and the 45 have to have the same number, and opposite of 90 is root 2. Okay, the next thing you have to know is that these are not going to be floating triangles when you get into trigonometry. The triangles are always going to be drawn. After you make your angle, you always bring it to the x-axis, and you've got yourself a right triangle right there. And this is the unit circle, so it's on a circle. This is the radius of the circle. This right here, you can see it's getting darker. This is the x-axis, and this right here up and down is the y-axis. So basically, the sine of theta, and this is theta right in here, is the side opposite over the hypotenuse, which is y over r. So these are the new formulas that you would use in the trig way. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is x over r, and the tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, which is y over x. And then the cosecant of theta is the reciprocal of sine. The secant of theta is the reciprocal of cosine, and the cotangent of theta is the reciprocal of tangent. So when I refer, I'm referring to x's and y's and r's. Again, this is the x-axis, up and down is the y-axis, and the hypotenuse is the radius. So here we go. This is all we're doing on this homework. We're trying to figure out what is the cosecant of 210 without using a calculator. So here are the steps. The first step is to find where 210 is. Well, here's 0 degrees. You go a positive 210. So I want a positive 90, a positive 180. About right here is 210 degrees. You take this arrow and you bring it up to the x-axis, and everybody can see that there's a triangle. This angle in here is called theta. I know that I went past the 180 marker by 30 degrees, so I know that that angle's 30 degrees. I know that this is 90 degrees, and I know that this is 60 degrees. So this triangle in this picture is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And what is opposite 30 is a 1. What's opposite 60 is root 3. And what's opposite 90 is 2. But now comes a little bit more difficult. I went out on the x-axis a negative root 3. I went down on the y-axis a negative 1. The radius is always a positive 2. And I know that cosecant is, I know that this is the reciprocal of sine, and I know that sine is y over r, or opposite over hypotenuse. So this is r over y. And I know that the r in this problem is 2. And I know that the y in this problem is a negative 1. So I know my final answer is a negative 2. You might not be able to catch on right away. That's why we're going to do a whole bunch of these for you to catch on. Okay, let's do more. The secant of 315, I'm going to go all the way around to 315. 315 is right in the middle of the fourth quadrant, right smack dab in the middle. I take my arrow and I always bring it up to the x-axis always. This makes 90 degrees. That means I have 45 degrees for my reference angle, and that means that this is also 45 degrees. So it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which looks like this, right here, a 45, 45, 90 triangle. But we have to put the numbers on there. I went over on the x-axis 1, but I went down on the y-axis at -1, and my hypotenuse is really the radius of the circle, which is root 2. Now that my diagram is finished, I know that that is the reciprocal of cosine. I know that cosine is x over r, so I know that secant is r over x. And the radius is root 2, and I know that the x is 1. Final answer, square root of 2 over 1. Okay, all we're doing is this. I'm going to write down the steps. The steps. Number 1, draw a picture. Number 2, label your triangle.